station to the places where all the things they mean. It's just a bittersweet symphony that's like. In other words, sing it. Won't be a slave to the money now. We're just here to live and then we die. Take you down the only road I've ever been down before. Takes you to the places where all the veins I can change. I can change. I can change.
It never is surprising to me how things fit together in the message I bring, the music that's brought, Megan's message, that how things fit together. I always think about it as if there's this like message in the universe, and it's coming out in more than one place. It's coming out in different places, and maybe that's what's happened today. I want to start with, I've talked before from the Tao Te Ching, Wayne Dyer's version, but this is a version by Stephen Mitchell. It doesn't include any text other than his interpretation of the verses of the Tao Te Ching. And I want to read the second part of the Tao Te Ching, verse 67, as I start. It goes like this. I have just 3 things to teach you. Wouldn't that be wonderful? You just need to know 3 things. That's it. Sounds like a Jerry Seinfeld episode. 3 things, I'm telling you. 3 things. I have just 3 things to teach you. Simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simple in action and in thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate toward yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. I've been meditating and reading this for a while, and I'm finally ready to talk about it. Simple in action and thoughts, you return to the source of your being. We complicate everything. We complicate life, we complicate things. We make them so complicated. We let our mind take us places that we don't want to go. It's like getting on a plane to St. Louis knowing that all your vacation plans were in Phoenix. The Airbnb, the ride here, all that stuff is in Phoenix, and you're getting on the plane to St. Louis. It's like, why? Why do we do that? Why do we let our minds take us to where we don't want to go? That's what we do. We get confused. It gets complicated. We get distracted by all these voices and choices that we have. We want to make sure everything's going to work out exactly according to plan, or we want to make sure it definitely doesn't work out because we don't want that. We have all this stuff going on in our minds, and we let it take us where we don't want to go. It's called worry. It's called chaos. It's called delusion, according to Einstein. That's his words. All this thing. Let me tell you what Michael Singer calls it. You may have read the book, The Untethered Soul. Maybe you haven't opened it for a while. But Michael Singer calls that mind, he calls it your roommate. He calls it, he said, you might actually say that you have a roommate. If you would like to meet your roommate, just try sitting inside yourself for a while in complete solitude and silence, he says. You have the right. It's your inner domain. But instead of finding silence, you're going to listen to incessant chatter. Why am I doing this? I have more important things to do. This is a waste of time. There's nobody in here but me. What's this all about? Right there on cue, there's your roommate. You may have a clear intention to be quiet inside, but your roommate will not cooperate. And it's not just when you try to be quiet. It has something to say about everything you look at. I don't like it. I like it. This is good. That's bad. It just talks and talks all the time. You don't generally notice because you don't step back from it, so you're so close to it you don't realize that you're actually hypnotized into listening to it. Basically, you're not alone in there. There are two distinct aspects of your inner being. The first is you, the awareness of that, the witness, the center of your willful intentions, and the other is that you watch. The problem is the part that you watch never shuts up. If you could get rid of that part even for a moment, the peace and serenity would be the nicest vacation you've ever taken. The heck with St. Louis or Phoenix. How about this? Real spiritual growth is about getting out of this predicament. But first you have to realize that you've been locked up in there with a maniac. That's what it's about. You know, that is not simplicity in thought. All of that is not simplicity in thought. And then, never mind that, what about action? After you've got all that going on there, then there's all these activities out there, right? We have a saying for it, running around like a chicken with its head cut off, right? We're running here, well, I have to do that. That sounds really good. Well, I don't know what that, I'm not sure. We're back and forth. I have all these things. We keep adding things onto our activities. We add on, and then what happens? We're exhausted. We're exhausted because I have to do them. I have to do it. Here's the other thing that came up this week to reinforce this message. My calendar from September 12th, just this week. Every day the world will drag you by the hand yelling, this is important, and this is important, and this is important, and you need to worry about this, and this over here. And each day it's up to you to yank your hand back and say, no, this is what's important. You see that? You see that? The mind and the world, they're taking us places. We allow them to take us places that we don't want to go. So what is simple in thought? Simple in thought to me is this, is pausing to ask the question, what do I really want here? And how do I want to feel? That's it. Simple. Not this roommate stuff going on in St. Louis and Phoenix. You know what I really want in that metaphor? I want a vacation. I want to have fun. I want to feel that way. How do I want to do it? What's right action? I want to go to Phoenix. That's it. That's it. What do I want? And how do I want to feel? That can simplify our thinking. That can slow down that roommate and preach, like, come on. Simple in thought is asking that question. What do I really want? People really know what they don't want. Most, and a lot of times, people don't know what they really want. And if we take yesterday during Coffee and Conversation, we talked about feelings. A lot of time, people don't really know what they want to feel. How do I really want to feel? And then right action, simple action, is doing what gets you that. You want more joy in your life? Make those selections. What do I really want? How do I want to feel? And let thy action come out of that. Simple in thought, simple in action. That's it. That's it. It's bringing that awareness, it's bringing that consciousness to life. I mean, your roommate can't take off if you don't let him or her take off. What do I really want here? How do I want to feel? And what's the best way to get there? What would it look like? And here's what happens. And here's what happens in this verse from the Tao Te Ching too. What happens is when you do that, you end up aligning with the wisdom that is already in you. Because you really do know what you want. You really do know how you want to feel. And when you align with the wisdom from within, it doesn't matter what it looks like out here. It doesn't matter. You don't let that plane take you to St. Louis. Because you know better. You know for yourself what is best for you. Not how it's going to work out for anybody else, but what is best for me. That's the miracle in it, and that's the promise in it. It's that you will be steadfast and calm in it. Doesn't mean it'll be easy. It means you'll know from the inside. All right, so the second line was this. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. I do not like the word patience. I've decided I am not a patient person. I don't like it. I don't even like talking. Well, don't pray for patience because then God will send you. I'm like, patience. And here's why. I looked up the word, dictionary.com. Here's the definition of patience. An ability or willingness to suppress restlessness and annoyance. The capacity for calmly enduring. I'm like, nope. Like, sorry, I don't want that at all. I mean, suppress something? Suppress? Do I want to suppress it and carry it around? I don't like that at all. I don't think that doesn't feel right to me one bit. Suppress it? Calmly endure it? Oh my God, no! I don't like it. I've told y'all before, if you don't like a word in a book or something, cross it out. I'm crossing this one out. Patience. That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. Here's what I decided, though, impatience is about. And this is more definition of me. Impatience is about expectation. Impatience is, I expect it to be different and I'm not happy about it because it's not my way. Impatience is about holding judgment about other people. That's what it's about. And what do you do with expectations and judgment? You don't suppress them, you release them. You get rid of them. You let them out of you. You don't push them down in you. That just makes you bitter and angry. I'm not bitter and angry, am I? So I was thinking about this stuff, and as I do during the week, and so they're repaving George Anderson Drive near our house between 17th Street and Carolina Beach Road. And so they have cones set up, and so when you're going toward 17th Street, it's a single lane, and when you're coming down toward Carolina Beach Road, it's 2 lane, because there's a middle lane there and a turn lane. But anyway, so I'm making a left to go up toward 17th Street, and before I can make the left, a bicycle is coming up the road there. So I let the bicycle pass. Then I get behind the bicycle and I'm like, doesn't this guy know that this lane is really narrow here? Like, why doesn't he get on the sidewalk so I can get by? You see how I'm starting to be impatient? What am I doing? I'm judging. And I'm expecting someone to do what I think I would do in my magnificence, is to get on the sidewalk, right? So the idea is to become aware of our impatience, which is judgment and expectation, and release it. I mean, the guy was trucking up the hill. He was not on a beach bike looking around, with a beer on his, I mean, he was trucking up the road. He was trucking up the road. And so I found myself like, that's what it is, Paula. That's it right there. That's judgment in me. I don't need to think about patience, and I don't need to press it down. What I need to do is release it. Is to release it. Because the promise of this line is that then we can be in harmony with whatever it is. You see, we can be in harmony with whatever it is. The work is in me. Had nothing to do with him on the bike. God bless him. Like I said, he was flying up that hill. The speed limit through there is only 35. And around that corner it's 25. He was probably going the speed limit. And here I am. What are you doing on the road? That's about me. That's about me. No wonder I don't like the word patience. Because I am not patient. Neil Donald Walsh, in his book Conversations with God, Book 1, has this quote that I'll always remember when I first read it back in the late 1990s, I guess it was. And it said, The greatest freedom in the world is to live without expectation. And this is the kind of thing he was talking about. Not to not have a goal or something we're looking forward to, but to not have these kinds of expectations of other people. That they should do and be and say what we think they should do and be and say. That's the greatest freedom in the world. And it actually puts us in harmony with everything that is. That's what the Tao is saying. The last line that I read to you is this: compassion toward yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. I mentioned to somebody before the service, our self-talk is horrible. The way we treat ourselves sometimes is just blistering. We know, we said before, we've heard the saying, I am my own worst critic. Have you ever said that? It's like, oh my gosh, people. Oh my God, we're so terrible. We didn't do this, we didn't do that, we weren't good enough, we didn't show up. We're worried about what other people think about us. All these things, we talk to ourselves terribly. I'm telling you, if somebody talked to me as terribly as I talk to myself, I think I'd banish them from my life. It's terrible that we do that. We don't have compassion toward ourselves. Listen, you got to love yourself. Just the way you are. All the scars, all the bruises, all the times you fell down, all the times I got it wrong, all the times I fell short, the times I said something hurtful. I've said before here too, I am not the worst thing I ever did, and neither are you. You are not the worst thing you ever did. The statute of limitations has expired on most of that stuff. It's not a life sentence that you messed up, that I messed up. Compassion. Saying, you know what? Looking in the mirror, Paul, you did your best. You can do better, but you did your best. That compassion, to talk to yourself with, I've seen the memes on Facebook about how you talk to your dog. Oh, good girl. Rub your belly. Do you want a treat? That. Like, talk to yourself compassionately. Our dog's on a diet, by the way. Poor thing. Poor thing. He's cute as he can be. We have to love ourselves back to life. We have to love ourselves back to life. Nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody can love you back to life. You can tell somebody how you love them, but if they don't love themselves, they can't even feel that. I can't feel it unless I love myself first. And you know what compassion towards self breeds? It breeds humility. Is because we know that we're imperfect in so many ways. In our perfect imperfection. We fall short. We fall down. It happens. It shouldn't stop the love we have for ourselves. It shouldn't stop that because it does bring humility. And humility, it is what allows us to look at every other living being and see the reflection of our own self. To see ourselves in them. To see ourselves in the person that is struggling. To see the person that thinks on the opposite scale of what we think. And to know that we can walk in the world humbly. To be humble. That's what compassion towards self breeds. I think that's why it says in the Bible, at least 9 different times, love your neighbor as yourself. Like yourself is first. Like you have to learn how that works in you. How that works in you. And once you know that, you walk more humbly because you know what it's like to be human. What it's like to struggle, what it's like to suffer, what it's like to succeed, what it's like, all those things we know. So those are the 3 treasures, and I would say them this way. Simple in action and thought, I align with the wisdom that resides in me. Free from expectation and judgment, I am in harmony with the way things are. Compassionate towards self, I am humble as I walk in the world. All right? Those are the treasures. Those are the treasures. The lead-in to this verse in the Tao, the paragraph before he mentioned the treasures, goes like this. Some say that my teaching is nonsense, Others call it lofty but impractical. But to those who have looked inside themselves, this nonsense makes perfect sense. And to those who put it in practice, this loftiness has roots that go deep. So let's take a few moments and have a meditation this morning together. Take a deep breath and get comfortable in your chair. All these words, all these ideals are for your consideration, for my consideration. To believe and to know that I can be simple in thought and action by asking the question, how do I want to feel? What do I want? And let that inform right action. To know that patience really is not about suppressing or pushing down, but releasing the expectation and judgment I have toward others. It puts me in harmony with everything that is. And compassion toward myself breeds humility. And to walk humbly in the world is certainly a great treasure. So breathing in and breathing out just for a few moments together. just these three things, my friends. Simple in action and in thought, patient with both friends and enemies, and compassionate toward yourself. Amen. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be